गेमिंग की दुनिया का बहुत बड़ा मार्केट खड़ा हुआ है। भारत के पास बहुत बड़ी विरासत है। हम गेमिंग की दुनिया में बहुत नई टैलेंट को लेकर के आ सकते हैं। विश्व के हर बच्चे को हमारे देश की बनी हुई गेमिंग की ओर आकर्षित कर सकते हैं।
Official body, they said we'll be making an e-national team that will be competing at the FIFA e-nation series, which is like the World Cup of FIFA esports. I finished in the top 4, and the top 4 players were taking part of the as part of the Indian team. So that was my break, where I officially got to put the Indian badge on my chest. If you recently saw, the people are the industry leaders when it comes to esports and gaming in India. They recently went to the PM house, interacted with Modi ji for this, and made him understand how the gaming industry is booming. Esport has been included as an official sport in India. So someone comes to you and be like, what do you do? I play video games professionally. How much money do you make? Say 5 lakhs a month. How do you make that?
I feel I must ask you a controversial question.
Yeah.
Is it PS, PlayStation or Xbox? What would you prefer?
Gaming in India is no longer just a pastime. It's a booming industry, teeming with potential and rapidly evolving into a global powerhouse. With Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself calling on the youth to take India to the forefront of the gaming world, the stage is set for something extraordinary. The numbers are staggering. 500 million gamers in the country, with an industry projected to double its revenue to 6 billion by 2028. But what's driving the surge? How does India transition from a gaming consumer to a gaming creator on the global stage? Today, we are delving deep into these questions and more with someone who's at the very heart of the revolution. Lokmanyu Chaturvedi, an esport athlete representing India in the eFIFA World Cup. Lokmanyu is not just a player, he's a trailblazer for Indian esport on the global stage. In this episode, we explore the incredible potential of the gaming in India, discuss the future of esports, and take a closer look at what it means to represent India in a global gaming stage. Whether you're a seasoned gamer, a curious observer, or someone looking to understand the future of the digital frontier, stick around. You won't want to miss this conversation. Tune in to the full episode to gain insights and could change the way you see the gaming forever.
Before we start today's conversation, I've got one request. If you ever enjoyed the videos or found any value out of it, please subscribe to it. It really helps us as a channel to improve our content and bring better guests. Thank you again and enjoy the rest of the video. To begin with, I would like to ask you, how did you get into esports? How did you represent India in eFIFA?
Right. So I think my dream was always to be a professional footballer. But stuff happened, right? Injuries, not being able to take it to that level where I wanted to be. And of course, the competition is always there, right? So I think I was always passionate about playing video games. So back in school, I never used to I used to try and avoid school, which of course is not something that I'm telling people to do. But all I'm saying is that I was so into video games and I wanted to take some time out and just keep playing, and then I used to play FIFA a lot. So I think my first FIFA was FIFA 2004 or probably 3 or something. And I got fascinated by it. What you can play in real life is what you're doing in a video game. And EA Sports, of course, being the pioneers of bringing out a game that everyone could enjoy, right? So I started with that. And there used to be a mode called career mode, where you used to play against the AI itself in the game, where you used to strategize, think of what all you can do if you were the manager of, say, a club, like a Premier League club, right? And that got me interested. Started playing with my friends as we grew up. Used to play these tournaments during night stays and chill sessions with friends. And I realized that I was quite decent at it. So a friend of mine suggested there's a FIFA tournament happening. Go there and participate, try your luck. I went there. First tournament, I lost to then Delhi's best player in the quarters of the semis. Then that person was like, oh, you're really good. Come for the next tournament. I went for the next tournament and I won the entire tournament.
Wow.
And then there was a series of online tournaments that was starting out from a company that used to organize tournaments. The first online tournament, I won that.
How old were you at this point?
At this point of time, I was 19. So I did not start playing competitively as as someone who wants to do something apart from my free time, right? I used to go for these tournaments after whatever I've done with college, like my football practice, my college stuff, spending time with my friends. I used to go on weekends and play these tournaments. So it was like a side gig, you can say, that I'm going for a tournament, earning about 5-10 grand on the weekend, spending it, and just, so it was a hobby, right? And then I started seeing how the scene is growing in India, right? So there's an eligibility criteria where EA lists out countries who can represent in the EA Global Series. India was not a part of it for the longest time, unfortunately, due to whatever. I think there was some legal issues or whatever. And me and a few other guys from the industry, we pushed for it. That please give us eligibility, we want to compete, we are really good. We want to try our luck against some of the best players in the world. And in that period, there used to be so many tournaments that happened locally, either by fan clubs, say Manchester United having their own tournament, right? And we started like playing all these tournaments, and then Ultimate Championships started happening where players from different parts of the country are coming and playing together. And there's actually a prize pool for it. So sponsors started to get involved. And all of this, like I'm actually telling you a bit consolidated from how it started. Back in 2021 was the major achievement for me as an individual, where the first official e-national team selection came out by AIFF.
That was the first time India showed interest in esports, is what you think?
The body, yeah. The official body, they said we'll be making an e-national team that will be competing in FIFA e-nation team, which is like the World Cup of FIFA esports. And I finished in the top 4, and the top 4 players were taking part as part of the league. So that was my break, when I officially got to put the Indian badge on my chest, which I couldn't fulfill my dream as a footballer. I had that dream always in my head while I was playing all these small tournaments, that one day I'll be able to represent India at the highest level. So I got that opportunity alongside my other national teammates, and it felt that then I became an esports athlete, because you're playing in your room, you're playing in these tournaments that you go for, right? You don't really see that excitement, that thrill, unless and until it's for your national team, for the badge, when people are supporting you, right? So I think, yeah, that's how it started, like this whole journey from being a very casual player. But I always say this, I've said this earlier also in any of the interviews or spoken to anyone that I've said, that my dream of living my football dream, I've taken that on the virtual pitch and I've successfully lived it.
Beautiful. I'm quite happy for you, and that you were able to succeed what you had planned.
Right.
What I want to understand is, what is esports? Like, a lot of people like myself do not understand what esports is. Is it games? Is it like FIFA is one of the games? There must be different games that is a part of esports.
Right.
Can you tell me more about?
Of course. So when you're playing with your friends, it's gaming. You're just having fun, right? But when it's played competitively, it's called esports. So now you're playing with your friends. Say, let's just take FIFA as an example, right? You're playing with your friends FIFA. There's nothing. You're chilling, having a drink with them, playing, enjoying yourself, right? But when you go for a tournament, right? When other competitors are there and you're playing for a prize pool.
Okay.
Which has either money involved or there's like some reward involved in it. It's called esports. And when I say reward, not something which is like it has to be something like a qualification to another level of the tournament or something, right? So that's when it becomes competitive, and that's called esports. Now, when you look at esports in all these years that have happened, right? People used to say that, how will this industry grow? Now, my first question to people who used to ask me, what will you do? I said, just wait for a few years and see how it's booming. Now, when kids are playing at home, right, they are playing with other people online, right? And that's how tournaments start or casual gaming begins, right? The numbers that you see, the numbers have spiked so much in the recent past that people just want to sit at home in their free time after they're done with their work or school or whatever, and it's a passion for them. That passion has converted into earning opportunities for individuals, either as a player, either as a content creator, as a streamer, I'm sure you make the content we'll be making out of this, right? That's content that's at some point of time it's being informative, or you're trying to make revenue out of it. So this is what people in the industry are doing now. But esports is one segment of gaming, which is competitive esports. So when we play against each other, that's a tournament.
Okay.
You play for global events, you represent your country, you represent yourself in all different esports titles. That's when teams get involved, organizations get involved, they sign players, and they compete under their banner.
So are you trying to say any game can be an e-sport depending on the if you put a money factor on it?
Money factor into it, but there's a difference. So this is what I was going to come into, and this is like a misconception people have. When you're playing, say, a game like Candy Crush, right? You're playing with your friends. That can not be esports. It'll just be gaming. Yes, there'll be money in it, like you place bets and all. But esports is when there's an official publisher of the game, like how EA Sports is, like how Krafton is for BGMI. So all these publishers, they put out a game that is esports ready. And then you compete in it under official tournaments, under a proper structure that comes out every year. And that's when you play. So gaming is like quite different from esports in this aspect.
Okay.
For sure. And then of course, now we've recently seen the development of esports coming into Asian Games, especially for India, right? That's huge.
Yeah.
So there are titles like Dota, CS, Valorant, FIFA of course is there, and all these games, all these titles that are coming out, they're part of the Asian Games, and esports is going to be a medal event at the Olympics very soon. And this is something that people did
at the Olympics, you said?
At the Olympics, it's going to be there really soon. So people did not realize it until it became an official sport. Recently, in the financial, what do you call that, the budget and everything that's made, right? The regulations that come out. Esport has been included as an official sport in India. So the bracket, like what the criteria that I come in as an esports athlete, I don't fall under the gambling bracket, which gaming is a part of. Esports is not part of that anymore. Esports in India comes under the bracket of how much tax I'll be paying on my earnings as per what a sports athlete has been. So that's the criteria that's coming out now, right? Of course, there are different things. When you earn prize money, it's different. There's more tax there. But my point being that esports is officially recognized as a sport now. And you couldn't have imagined that happening when you say to someone, I just play games. I play video games professionally. So someone comes to you and be like, what do you do? Like, I make money. How much money do you make? Say 5 lakhs a month. How do you make that, right? I play tournaments. I have a sponsorship from my team. I get a salary from the organization I'm signed with. So it's become structured and it's become an official sport, how it is with cricketers, how it is with footballers.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's your answer, like how esports is growing. So
which game would you say in India are considered as massive?
So mobile esports is huge in India. So when they say mobile gaming, right, it's got titles like BGMI, of course, that's number one. You must have heard, or if not, the game got banned for a very long time, because of which the whole industry was almost falling apart.
Which game is that?
PUBG. So it was called PUBG earlier.
Okay.
It changed into BGMI.
BGMI.
Because of the privacy issues that had come in, the government had banned the game.
Achha.
You could not have downloaded it from the store, like from the Apple Store or the Google Play Store, right? So when that happened, right, the whole industry almost fell apart because mobile gaming in India is at the highest level, right? And that's where the major share of revenue comes from. That's where the major segment is from, right? Now, when you take into account the game coming back, it revived the industry completely. And the number of users spiked double of what it was earlier. Because the accessibility is so easy, right? For me as a FIFA guy, for me to buy a console first, say I buy a PlayStation 5 for like 50 grand, right? Then I buy a monitor or TV to play on. I need an internet connection.
Right.
With the mobile, you don't need that. Like, you have one device that gives you, like, you're recording from your mobile, right? You can make calls from your mobile. You can play games on your mobile as well. So you can do everything with a simple device, and you can turn that passion for playing video games, and I'm quoting it like that, as someone who loves to play casually, to taking that playing video games to taking it into being an esports athlete, representing different organizations, playing for a massive prize pool. The prize pool in India for mobile gamers is in crores, and that's crazy, right? For the title that I compete in, it's still in lakhs, but it's obviously there's a difference because of the user base, right? So when you see all these things, right, mobile gaming and other esport titles, there's like a huge disparity that's there. They are trying to catch up, but mobile gaming is right at the top, and mostly people are pushing for that. But of course, my skill was in FIFA because like I was a footballer before. I said, like, I still play, and I mean, you and I play together, right? But the fact that when you can do that so well on the virtual pitch, end up playing for India, end up representing a club like Kerala Blasters in the EISL. I've done that for 2 years, so I was fortunate enough to do that. I think that's where your skills lie and your passion converts into into a dream.
I feel one of the biggest concern for people who want to make this as a career is on how to get their parents to be on the same page.
Right.
How did you do that with your parents?
Right. So luckily, my father was from a sports background. He's played for India himself.
Wow.
Lawn tennis.
Beautiful.
So like from the university, and he was always someone who wanted to do things differently, right? But I understand. Viewers might think because it was his father, so he supported. Initially, he did not, because he used to worry about my health. He used to worry about what am I going to do, right? If I just keep sitting at home, play video games. My mom was worried about my marks, right? So just during my boards in school, I kept my console away for 3 months. I studied. Everyone thought I'll be getting like 50, 60% and probably not get into any university. I got 95%. I played for Delhi football. And after doing that, I took back my console. I said, can I do this again now? They said, okay, you've completed one milestone. You take it back, you prove yourself, and let's see how it goes. Which is why I mentioned earlier that I used to play it as a passion, right? As a hobby, right? Until and unless you get to a level, it's very difficult to convert it into a full-time profession, right? Of course, I think it's anything, any passion that is not a mainstream industry like, say, being a lawyer or an engineer or a doctor or anything, right? Esports is still quite nascent when it comes to getting into the industry and earning money, right? But how I started, how I convinced my parents was to keep doing what you normally do. So music is a hobby that converts into a profession.
Right.
A dancer is not dancing full time by leaving their studies, like a child in school does not leave his or her books and starts dancing full time, right? It's the same for gaming and esports, especially I would say esports, right? So you keep doing what you're doing, you study well, you focus on outdoor activities, you focus on your social life, and you do this and see where you stand. If I was not good enough, I wouldn't be sitting here with you talking about an esports athlete for the Indian national team, right? I would just be, oh, I'm good at FIFA. You challenge me, I'll beat you. I would still beat you, but I would not be at that level, right? So it's about consistency with following your passion, but not leaving what you're doing at the same time. And this is what I always say whenever I've gone ahead, spoken to parents, and this is a question that I get always, right?
I'm sure you do.
How do you keep yourself in this shape and not end up being a couch potato is a word that's used for gamers. Sitting at home, just like, so there are 2-3 things to it, right? A balanced lifestyle is important with everything. People who don't believe in that will always get stuck with that one track mentality. Is ye pure din baith ke games khelta hai. Now when I say that, he sits, plays video games all day long, that's the reason he's unfit, that's the reason he doesn't have a social life. Now tell me something, if you are working as a lawyer, you're sitting at home, sitting at work the whole day on your desk in front of your laptop, your eyes will get messed up after a point of time. Your health will get messed up after a point of time because there's no physical activity. So if I'm a full-time gamer or a professional esports athlete, I have a life outside that too. I'm working out, I'm playing football, I have my own business that I'm working on, right? But I still compete. So that balance is what parents need to understand. and they need to inculcate the love that kids have nowadays for gaming.
More than the parents, it's a child who's aspiring to represent their country or make esports as a career. They need to understand.
Right.
So what piece of advice would you give them? Like the advice that you're saying is for the people who want to make this as a career, not their parents.
Right.
That parents is a different subject.
Right.
So what you were saying is definitely true, that you need to have a balanced lifestyle in terms of other things other than playing games or playing any e-sport.
Right. So I think one more point I'd like to add from the parents' perspective, right? There's a lot of money that's involved in the industry now. When you see all these gamers who were gamers at first, then they became esports athletes, then they have now moved into content. The amount of money they're making compared to mainstream industries, it's crazy. And parents who are willing to move out of that, what's that taboo?
Societal
thoughts of just sending their kids into either becoming an engineer, doctor, lawyer, whatever. Those are the parents that will be able to see that my child has the capability to go there. So that needs to be opened up first. And see the money aspect of it. There's a lot of money in different avenues.
What are the different channels would you say that e-sport athlete could earn from?
Right. So the first thing, like coming back to your follow-up question, which you said that what are the avenues that a person could go to, right? So number one is everyone who starts with playing the game.
Right.
Now they test themselves out against some of the best. Now if say a kid comes to me who loves to play FIFA. Now it's called FC 24, but he comes to me and he says, I'll beat you. Okay? He might be really good, but it'll be 99% chance that he will not be winning the game. Why? Because I'm a professional. I have the capability to being very good at the game to being a pro athlete at the game. So you need to realize if your talent is there in order to go to all the way to that level. If you can't make it, right? People start going into content creation. So they know they can't compete at the highest level, but they would still want to play and make content out of it. If you're good at it, YouTube, Twitch, all these other streaming platforms, I can name so many of them, right? People are getting monetized on those platforms. They're building an audience, right? And I think this is something that will capture the eye of the people who are listening, right? That monetization, digital monetization is so important. You're putting out content, YouTube and all, Twitch, all these platforms are paying you money, right? Then operations. Who are the people who are running these tournaments, right? You need an ops team. You need someone to deal with the sponsors. You need someone to how to build that whole IP of tournaments. Say I run a series of tournaments, right? Say FIFA Championship, right? Who's getting sponsors? Who's working on ground operations? Who's doing the marketing? Who's doing the social media bit? These are the avenues that people could get into, and there are huge, there's like a plethora of companies who have come into the industry where they're hosting these tournaments and people are getting jobs. Video editing is such a big area. So say tomorrow I say I don't want to compete anymore. I'm tired of it. I'm getting closer to 30. I just want to relax. I'll learn video editing. I know the game, right? Now new people are coming, giving me content. They say, can you please edit it for us? I'll charge a premium fee because I know the game really well. So I know when to edit what part. And that's a huge source of revenue for me, right? I can make lakhs in a month, right? So that's another aspect of it. So there are so many different avenues. You can be a player, you can be a coach, right? I've been a coach of the national team. In fact, for the FIFA E-Nations Cup, which is the World Cup for eFIFA, I was there as the coach of the national team. In fact, this is something I wanted you to know. The FIFA rankings of Indian football in real life has always been a challenge because football is still developing. We're around 100 in the rankings, right? You've played football yourself, you know how tough it is. Our E-National team, me being a huge part of it, we were 6th in the world.
Wow.
On the rankings. 6th in the world, which is something people did not realize until we reached 6th and Indian football actually posted, right? So how did we get there? It did not start with just a few players playing, right? It took a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifice also, but it took the work of people working behind the scenes. The team manager, the federation who was part of it, people who are working with the social media, people who are running the ops, right? How do we get these players ready for the event, right? The local tournaments that happened, where we practiced and got to that level, right? So you see there's like how it is in a sports industry basically, like people are doing different sort of jobs in a tournament like IPL or ISL, right? So those are the opportunities available for people in the esports industry and the gaming industry in general, because there's so much of tech is involved, right? See all these tech people that are there, they're working in order to build the game. There's like game designers and everything. I mean, I'm not even going into that aspect because that's like from the technical side of it.
Right.
Yeah. So like esports is different than all these tech people making it, right? So you need to take into account there's job opportunities available in gaming and in esports, both actually. So yeah, I think that's your answer with like, I can name like 30, 40, 50 different avenues to get into this space and start earning. It's all about the passion. If you're passionate about esports, there's definitely a place for you.
But a lot of parents would have a concern on how there are some cons of sitting in front of a console and playing a game.
Correct. Yeah.
How do you get ahead of that?
So if you're, say, I think I would just like to say this to all the parents out there, right? It's about the mindset. Now, if you see your child reading, say, all these books that are there, now you read 2 books in a day. Say you read 2 books in a day, how much time that will consume? 10 hours, 12 hours, I think around that. How much impact would it have on your eyes? You're reading small letters, right? If you're looking at the book for that long without taking any break, you will get specs. Eventually you will, right? When you're playing, when you're gaming, right? You have the tech available now in order to provide you with Blu-ray specs, and this is when you don't even have any power. I don't have any power. I've been playing for more than 10 years. Touch wood, I don't have that with me anymore because I take breaks. I don't play at one go. Anyone who's smart enough about gaming will take frequent breaks, just how you should take breaks when you're either working, say you have a sedentary lifestyle, you need to take breaks. Otherwise your back will, give you problems later on. So you need to move around, right? And like I said earlier, I have a balanced lifestyle. So whenever I've played, say for an hour, right? And I say, okay, it's time for my gym, it's time for football, it's time to meet my friends, I'll go out, I'll come back and I'll practice again. Because I am at a level where I just have to practice. I don't play casually. I don't have the time anymore to play casually. I do agree with parents that someone who does not have any intention of making it professional and just plays for leisure and is playing continuously for 6-8 hours, that is wrong. And that's not something that we as esports professionals advocate. Because we're not telling people to become esports athletes by playing for 8 to 10 hours. I have coached individuals personally for FIFA, and I always tell them, learn this for an hour from me, practice it for another hour, take a break, do your job, do your work, come back to it, you'll learn better. You don't have to sit like a robot in front of the screen for 8 to 10 hours because that's leisure. It's like you scrolling through Instagram for 3 to 4 hours before you go off to sleep. Is that healthy? It's not. You scroll for an hour, you put your phone away, an hour before sleeping, you're good to go. But if you're like sleeping like this with Instagram scrolling, so it's the same impact that you have when you're playing for 8 to 10 hours. Don't do that. Have someone to guide you. And there are people to guide you nowadays. Like have a mentor. Say, my child is interested in esports, and that's something I want to do. I want to do this in the future where I guide people as to how to go about their journey from either being casual gamers to being esports athletes, or even if you're playing for leisure, have a time set. In fact, the government has done it that BGMI, you cannot play for more than 6 hours in a day on a single account.
Is it?
So no matter how many devices you have, say you have 10 iPhone 15 Pros with you, right? And if you have that one account, because you'll have your accolades ranking up, you'll have that rank increasing in that account. So they've made it account specific. So you cannot play for more than 6 hours in a day.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's a great regulation to have.
That is there. So all these things are there to regulate, and you need people to regulate these. And I could be wrong about the technical part, is it account related or device related, but there still is a regulation in place. And I think that's the regulation that people need to be aware of, but not hold back a child's potential to actually represent their country. Like, my father went with me to an event recently where they had called me, not just me, they had called him as well, where what is the perspective of a parent?
True.
Right?
True.
And I spoke about this there, that my father did not imagine me standing at that podium talking about it at that stage where I will be like I would have represented India, say 6 years down the line, starting from where he said, I'm gonna put your console inside, you focus on your studies. I did what he said, but I took it out, balanced my life, ended up reaching my potential. Nobody would have known me as an esports athlete representing India had I not taken everything into account. So if a kid is watching this who is interested in esports and gaming, don't be wild about it. Don't do it all the time.
Okay, so how else would you say would you improve your skills? Let's talk about FIFA here because you have experience with FIFA. So if you need to improve from a casual player to a more professional player, how would you improve your skills other than practicing it on a regular basis?
Right. So there are different ways to do that. First of all, you need to see the players that are playing in the same region as you. When I say the same region, it's India. Say someone who says, I'm really good and wants to come and talk to me, or other esports athletes who are really good. There are other players who are better than me also in India, right? So when they play against them, they get to learn a lot. So this feature of video analysis, AI, right, is coming into play so well that you can record your games that you have played. Say you and I play a game of FIFA, I record it on my console and I can watch it back 10 times, 100 times, a million times. And that's where coaches come in. So you can actually take coaching sessions from people to improve your game, and I've personally done that. So there are like ranks, okay? It's a bit specific, but I'll explain it. Rank 1 being at the highest, okay? And rank 20 being the lowest. I took someone from at the level of rank 15 to not just reaching rank 1, but to be able to beat professional players in the circuit within a span of 1.5 years.
What areas did you focus on when you would need to improve on a sport, on an e-sport such as FIFA? Let's say if I were to improve my FIFA skills, which are not the best,
right?
What will I need to do?
I think there are different aspects to it, just how it is in real football. So I would focus on, say, how you defend in the game, how you build up when you're attacking, how you not lose the ball unnecessary. When people are playing FIFA, right, they would just like pass it for fun. Like, you know, the ball did not go where I intended it to go.
Okay.
But it's only 1% of when you, or maybe like 2% or 5% of where you put in the right input and the computer doesn't register it in game properly. Glitches. That's obviously a part of it. And it's actually funny because there's a lot of fun content we consume ourselves when all this funny stuff happens, right? And we're always raging about it. And raging is a huge part of gaming and esports. And that's like a way to like vent out also. But people really feel their emotions, how it is in real life sports also, right? So, but coming back to the point, right? There are inputs that you need to put the right way. So how to do the skill moves correctly. You learn from the players that are playing at the highest level. You watch their videos, you watch the live streams. You learn from the videos, tutorials they put out, right? So there are different ways to work on it. There are hand-eye coordination exercises that you need to do in order for you to be able to be fast on the sticks. Like you have to be mentally prepared. So there's this exercise that I did earlier on when I wanted to start, because the game is for an average about 15 minutes of FIFA, right? So I used to just focus on a blank wall, make a whole square, okay, with dots on it, right? And at a distance, at a small distance. And I used to tell myself, focus on this dot, then focus on another dot, then focus on another dot for 15 minutes continuously. What it did for me was to be able to put 100% of my focus in the game so that I'm not getting brain fogged.
Distracted for that 12 to 15 minutes.
15 minutes. That was like a way of, and of course yoga is there, right? I mean, esports athletes are working continuously to improve their skills because they need, like through yoga, because they meditate, they focus more, their span of attention is so much more than someone who does not do yoga or someone who's not into being focused at one point, because a lot of people do get distracted. I mean, it's pretty normal. So even if you're like working, even during exams, you lose your thoughts and you're looking out of the window like, what am I supposed to do now for the next 10 minutes? So those things are a huge part of it. So technically there are things, the exercises, but the biggest is working out physically. If you don't work out outside, say at a gym, or go for a run, or play any sport, you will not be at that level where you should be. Some sort of exercise, be it any physical activity, because that helps you focus more. And I think even the parents would agree. Why do you send your children to play football or play basketball or tennis, whatever? Because they're able to obviously not just maintain their health, but to be able to focus more when they're studying. So I've told you all aspects of it, right? Technical side of it, mental aspect of it, physical side of it. And of course, emotionally you have to be, composed, talking to the right people, having people around you who are aligned at the same level as you are. So if you're passionate about something, say you and I want to be in a partnership and make 100 CR by the end of this year, right? And if you start talking about, no, we should just do a business of say 15,000, 20,000, we'll be good about it. You don't match the vision.
Right.
I don't want to talk to you. Simple as that. So you need to have people around you who have that vision in order for your goals to be big. So it's like a whole circle of all these positive elements and the right technique in order to become a better player. And I've tried to keep it as generic as possible, because if I get into too technical side of it, then people who are outside of the FIFA FC sphere would not.
Coming back to the growth of the industry, I was reading that esports industry at the moment in 2024, it was about $1.5 billion industry, which is speculated to be about 3 times in the next 5 to 6 years. By 2031, it said about $5.31 billion industry is going to be. How excited are you for that?
I'm really excited. So I'll just tell you the different ways as to why the growth is going, like as to how the growth is going and how people can make money in it. As a player, you participate in tournaments. If you're good enough, you'll earn crazy amount of money in prize monies, right? That's one thing. You are on salaries. So if you represent an organization, an esports team, you get paid for it, right? That's one thing. Then there's content. There's so much of content you can make from the game. Then there's live streaming that you, like I said, gets monetized. People are earning millions of dollars a month, at least the top streamers that are there on YouTube, Twitch. I mean, of course, you know this guy, iShowSpeed, right? He's someone who's making real life content, but he plays FIFA too and he makes content. So audience has started to resonate from like different kind of audiences, like the gaming, real life football and everything. So my point being, he does not need to play FIFA because he's earning a lot of money, but he is doing that because he sees that the audience of gaming and esports is in huge masses, right? And they're all coming to his stream because he's an entertainer, right? So content creation, streaming. Now it comes to sponsorships, right? If you're doing well as an organization, as a player, as a creator, as someone who's contributing towards the growth of anything that is going in the right direction, brands will come to you. All these top creators that you see, like they're rushing out to these creators to take as much money as they can and promote the brands. So sponsors are jumping in for tournaments. Brands are jumping in for their growth on these social media handles of using the athletes as, you know, like how Cristiano Ronaldo will get sponsored by whatever, and you see all those brands getting associated with him. So that's becoming quite a thing with esports athletes and the industry in general. Now let's look at the numbers with gaming, right? The number of downloads, I think we were talking before we started this, right? There's like 569 or 589 million gamers who are actively there, and there's like billions of downloads in the year of 2023.
In India.
In India. So when you have that kind of app usage, right, app downloads, why would you not make money? The publishers are putting it out there. They're creating new games, right? People are and there's one thing that a lot of people don't know is the microtransactions is how these publishers are making money and then putting it back in the industry. So what they're doing is they put out, say, there's a game called Fortnite. You know about it. People love to buy skins in the game. So they want to be Travis Scott when they're playing in the game. And there's a skin of Travis Scott. So you can be Travis Scott, your character is Travis Scott, you're playing.
Like
Fortnite.
accessories.
Accessories. And you have to buy that off the store.
Okay.
And you're paying a certain amount. Now imagine how much money the dev team of Fortnite is making. When I play FIFA, I need to make my ultimate team. I need to buy FIFA points. You're aware of that. And I mean, it's the amount that you have to pay is there. So how do you make that money, right? Is the question. That's why parents get a little skeptical that why is my credit card being swiped and all of that, right? But you see, that's their way of being happy. Keeping aside, of course, you're playing as a casual player, you just don't want to do that. That's different. But that's your leisure too. That's how the money is coming in. People say, how is the money coming in? People are paying for it. And the developers, publishers are putting out our tournaments, community events, and everything that is coming out to be. Because they're not spending that much money, say, on shopping or on shoes, but they're spending happily playing online with their friends by spending those microtransactions. So the devs are earning, right? And they're putting it back in the industry. Then, of course, the external, all these endemic, non-endemic brands that keep coming in the industry, right? When you see brands like HP, Intel, numbers of brands like that.
Even Reliance's Geo invested heavily in the gaming industry.
In the gaming industry, Geo Games is doing so well. So they see the potential, right? They see a roadmap that is leading the gamers to a point where they can either end up in the esports industry or they can be a part of the gaming industry itself and make money. So yeah, I mean, the numbers will keep spiking. And the best part is, right, if you recently saw, the people, at least a couple of people that I know personally, I've sat in conferences with them and I've met are the industry leaders when it comes to esports and gaming in India. They recently went to the PM house, interacted with Modi ji for this, and made him understand how the gaming industry is booming. It's on Instagram, it's on PM Narendra Modi's profile. So it's come to that level. And why is it happening? Because it's not just the money, it's the passion, it's the vision that people have to take the virtual world into a reality by making friends, working with people, and most of all making money. So imagine from a virtual reality to an actual reality. You're taking it there. So yeah, another virtual reality is like VR experiences. I think that's another thing that is there. So people are paying a lot of money for their leisure now. They have that much of income, right, in order to spend money on VR games. So they just have to put a headset, like the VR there, and they're playing tennis on it, right, and they're enjoying it. So they're not actually on a court, but VR has enabled them to get to that level. So that is the future. Like, I know once I stop playing, I can do so many things. As a businessman, I can do a lot of things, growing the esports scene, or coaching, or like helping people go in the industry, or working somewhere myself, and taking that project to another level. So it'll keep increasing these numbers.
So for the technological advancement that you spoke about right now, I was going to get to the fact that how would you say would you want the FIFA to be looking like in the coming years? What change would you speculate?
Oh man, that's something that I think anyone who plays FIFA wants a massive improvement in the game. So their game engine, as advanced as it's become over the years, there's still a lot of things that needs to be changed. But I think from an innovative perspective, a lot of things can be done. 3D is there, 4D is there. I mean, but that's all for entertainment purposes. When it comes to actually the game engine and when you play. So recently, there was a competitive tournament going on, right? This one player did all the input right. Say there's a circle button on your controller. You press it right, you've given the direction right? And there's something called a green timed shot. That means like a game breaker kind of a shot if you played FIFA Street, right? Where the ball will never like go out. It'll only go in the net. He did all of that right. right? It still missed. You know how much money he lost because of that one miss? Because it wasn't even in his control. 100,000 US dollars. He lost that kind of money because the input did not go right. So there's always a scope for improvement. It's obviously not easy from the dev side also to get everything right. But there are things that can be improved in the game where all these glitches are minimized to a point where it's not blatantly noticeable. It's not that I can show it to you. Like, I see still new things every day in this game where players are like, you know, ball is going through their hand, ball is going through their legs, and like the goalkeeper is standing there, but he'll just like ball's coming to him, but he'll jump like that.
That is the software part of the game. What about the console? What kind of console do you speculate would be coming up in the future?
I think right now there's no talk about PS6 or any new version of the Xbox. It's not even mentioned anywhere. But I think the PS5 itself is quite an advancement. That's why it says it's the next gen, because the improvement it's made in terms of graphics. When you play other games also, because we're talking about gaming also, the experience of gaming that you have. Now there's a game that had come out called Last of Us, and it turned out to be a hit. It came as a TV series also recently, and people loved it. And they wanted to play the game again after that. So the graphics that are there, they feel so real. Like you feel you're in the game. Games like GTA, right? All these games that are there. You feel you're in there, right? And that's all happening because of the technological advancements that are happening in terms of tech. And of course, all games are made on a computer, right? It's just made it according to the console. Like game designing is done on a PC only. So the higher end of the technology that keeps increasing, the better will come to the console also, and the better will come into the mobile games also, right? So yeah, I mean, I am not that well versed with game development and tech and everything, but I feel I have an idea about where this could be headed in terms of the experience people have compared to how we started, because we're the typical 90s kids. We've seen.
Yeah, you've seen PS1, which used to open like that.
Which opened like that, yeah. And we used to wait that there's no yellow light of death, or it was called something, right? When the PS logo was to come on the TV, whether it will start or not. From there to like just opening your console in a second and get into a game, right?
Yeah.
So that in itself is a huge.
I feel I must ask you a controversial question.
Yeah.
Is it PS, PlayStation, or Xbox? What would you prefer?
PlayStation always.
And why is that?
Because the experience with PlayStation has always been better. Ever since, I think, as a kid in India, PlayStation was always heavier than Xbox in terms of the number of sales and just like you have a PS5, you have a PS5, you have a PS5, and I have an Xbox. So the ratio of PS has always been more than Xbox, right?
Right.
There are loyal followers, customers of Xbox. I mean Microsoft, but I feel like Sony has always had the edge over this. And in terms of the tournament experiences PlayStation provides, right? Every tournament of FIFA and now FC that's happened, it mostly has been 99% of these tournaments have happened on PlayStation. There's a reason for it. Accessibility, better marketing, better tech, of course. I feel like PlayStation as an experience in itself, the interface and everything about it is so much better than Xbox.
So if you, for example, you play PlayStation, and you're good at FIFA, would you be as good on Xbox as well, or something changes there?
Not really, because the best part about it is, I was going to come to that, they've made it cross-platform. So now an Xbox next gen, like the latest Xbox, can play with a guy on PlayStation 5. So yeah, so you sitting at your home with the next gen Xbox console and me on PlayStation 5, right, can play with each other in a game of FIFA.
How is that possible?
You just enable cross-platform.
Earlier it's about PSN, if I'm not wrong. You have to have the same.
Correct.
You have to have PSN in order to play with another
PlayStation
person.
Network, right?
Yeah.
But now that's not the case, because you just say in FIFA, FC, right? You just have to add the other person via their EA ID, because the game is of Esports, right? So you just add each other on that ID and you can play against each other. So that cross-platform has enabled people to choose from whatever. PC players can play with Xbox. PC players can play with PS.
Wow.
That whole triangle is there. Only mobile is different.
Mm-hmm.
So, never know. I mean, I don't think so it'll be possible. You never know, like, mobile tech ends up in a crazy way in like 20, 30 years down the line, and all the different platforms are playing with each other. I mean, 3 of them is checked, but mobile, of course, the tech is different.
Right.
Right.
So what I understood from you was that in order to make gaming your career, your mindset is very important. So is your belief system. You have to believe and you have to have the right mindset in order to do the right things. Like you said, different activities that you used to do. You were never overstimulating your mind with gaming. You were balancing your lifestyle with other things. So how important is your belief system that this is what you want to do and there's no question about it in order to become a e-sport athlete?
So it's your passion, right? How you sleep thinking about it. You wake up thinking about it, right? Of course, there are other things as well. But when I started into it, I was just like, I want to be the best FIFA player in the world. Of course, that dream could not be fulfilled. I'm still trying, of course, but it's tough also, right? But to dream is how you will start. You will get there, right? That you want to be at the highest level in esports and to grow yourself in that. That belief system, I think, comes from when you see the potential in the industry.
Definitely.
Right? And that potential is anyway there. People are investing into esports and gaming because they see the next thing. The next, as they say, it's like a statement out there, the next big thing is esports. The gaming industry has surpassed the music industry.
Yeah.
And that's like a big thing to say because music industry is huge.
True.
It's not about just doing events, it's about composing music to singers to God knows what not. And all of that has been taken over by gaming in terms of numbers. So you need to see where the industry is headed. You will not be investing in a company, you'll not be buying its stocks if you see the decline of that company, right? If you don't see any potential. Now, I was going to come to this example only, right? When you see a company in the stock market, right? You see their stocks have fallen, right? You try and buy it because you see potential later on. You see there's something there. It's been the same. Gaming industry has, and esports has had an upward scale, but it has its challenges and I've personally faced them.
I'm sure.
Right? So from representing organizations for 2 years, being on a salary, to last season having it difficult with no team. So no salary per se. But because I'm working on myself and my profile and everything that I've done, I'm still there. And I know that from here the graph will go up, right? So it's not always sunshines and rainbows in any industry for that matter. Every industry has a decline at some point of time.
For sure.
But you need to see where the industry is headed. You need to believe that you will make something out of it, if not as a player, but you share the passion of working in the ops team, doing the biggest events, becoming the CEO of an esports company where you have your own roster playing under you. You want to start a merchandise brand based on esports.
Right.
You want to mix music and esports together and do events. You want to have football and FIFA together at an event, which a lot of people are doing now, which I personally want to do as well. All those things are there, and people only see it out there once somebody has done it.
True.
Because they need to see role models.
That's where you come in picture as well. You said it's important to dream and it's important to speculate the growth of an industry. And people like you who are inspiring the next generation and telling them that the sky is the limit in terms of gaming. That's why you're there as well. I'm going to be closing our conversation with 2 very personal questions that I ask all my guests across any subject that I'm speaking about. One is, what piece of advice would you give your younger self, Lokmanyu, if you were to speak to a person who was 17-year-old Lokmanyu, and now that you are 27, 28, 10 years of experience, what would you say in order to be the best version that you can be?
I think if I was to tell myself that, would be to not be stringent about my ways after hearing things from the society. I personally went with a lot of things that were told to me, but I still believed in it that I will make it big in esports at some point. I kept doing it, but it had a lot of impact, which held me back, not going all out, right? So I would tell myself that in order to be where I want to be and a better version, like, be an opportunist. Do not give in to whatever someone says and hold yourself back, because I think a lot of people end up doing that. So I think you need to explore all your opportunities every single time and network. Had I networked the way that I network now with people, had I done that when I was 18 or 19, I think not just as a player, I would have done really well for myself in terms of earning more money, because that networking would have helped me connect with potential earning opportunities, which now I'm picking up, and I feel I wish I'd done that.
But you're doing great in things that you do for esports.
Thank you.
And I'm sure you will, you're only 28 right now. So there's,
I will be 28 soon.
you will be 28 very soon.
Not yet. Yeah.
And there's years in front of you. So that's not even a problem for you in order to
Right.
capitalize on the things that you did not when you were 17.
Right.
Because you weren't getting the good guidance like now the guidance that you have now.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Second question I must ask you, since this podcast is called Diary of a Publisher,
Okay.
and I happen to read a lot.
Right.
Do you read, Lokmanyu?
I usually read stuff like biographies. And
Fair enough.
with
So I
sports.
will ask you, if there is one book that changed your belief system and you wish you would have read earlier in life to know more that you know now, which book would that be?
I think there's a book of Sir Alex Ferguson, his biopic. And he talks about how he started from being a nobody, like a man, like a common man from Scotland, right? And how he went on to be one of the greatest managers in the world of football. His beliefs, his systems, how he went about things, right? I would definitely recommend that book, because my sister gave it to me and she said, I know you're not much of a reader, but because you're a Manchester United fan, and that's Sir Alex Ferguson right there. He's a role model, and the way that he went about his life, the challenges he faced, I think that takes care of everything. There are books that talks about money, there are books that talks about your mental health, everything, all of that. But I think from that one book that I've heard, like how he faced challenges and how he actually went to that level where he was, it has covered a lot of it. So,
Inspired you to be what you are right now.
Correct. And how to, take control of yourself when there are tough times. Like I personally have gone through a lot of tough phases in my life, apart from professional, right? But to have that mentality, to keep going, to focusing on yourself with the right people around you,
Absolutely.
and not go out in the open and said, life is bad, life is not worth living. You'd rather not do that. You would focus. And I think from your videos that I've seen of how to spiritually focus on things, right? I think I've also picked that up from different people who are near and dear to me, right? So I think that book has covered a lot of it.
Amazing.
But still I'm learning values every day and how to become a better version of myself.
Beautiful, beautiful. This has been such a great conversation with you. Thank you so much, Lokmanyu, for being a part of this. I appreciate you, and keep inspiring the way you've been doing right now.
Thank you. It was lovely to be here.
Thank you.
Great stuff, boss.
If you enjoyed the episode or got some value out of it, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Until then, keep reimagining yourself and know that the power of change lies within you.